Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The movie I'm going to talk about today tells us directly at the beginning that we are playing the timeline in parallel space. Even the name of the movie is straightforward. It's called Time Renegade. The teacher and the heroine celebrate the new year in the soul unexpectedly. The heroine found her wallet stolen. When the teacher and the thief were fighting, he was stabbed and rushed to the hospital. It was 1982 on the other hand. In 2014, they also celebrated the new year in the soul. When the police arrested the suspect in the soul, he was accidentally shot and injured. He was also rushed to the hospital. The connection point of the two spaces is a dispenser. Both people's lives are in danger, so by chance, they used the same dispenser to rescue. From that moment on, the two people began to have psychic powers. That is to say, when the teacher and the police officer were sleeping, they dreamed of each other's space in that era. They saw everything that happened in each other's daily life. At first, the two people didn't care much. They thought it was a dream. But if you dream for a day or two, there is really no problem. It's a big problem to dream every day. And they still dream of men every day. Anyway, the sexual orientation of the two male characters is normal. Why do they always dream of another man? Okay, I was wrong. In fact, the police officer still takes advantage of it. At least he didn't dream of only the teacher and the female protagonist at this time. The new boss of the police officer, the cold-faced man, happened to be on duty. Coincidentally, he saw the police officer was dreaming and drooling. He was shocked. In 2015, because of an early school arrival, the police officer actually heard the name of the teacher in the broadcast. This made him realize that he was not having a simple dream. On the other hand, in 1983, the teacher was punishing the students with a bad temper. At this time, it was also an early school arrival. The teacher talked about his recent dream experience. Of course, the Earthmen didn't believe it, so he made an appointment with his classmates. The same early snow. 32 years later, there will be a snowy day in 2015. If there really is such a snow at that time, it will be broadcasted as a story to prove that what he said was true. So in 2015, the police officer heard the story of the teacher and the male student 32 years ago in the broadcast. Similarly, no one believed what the police officer said until he watched the surveillance video. He accidentally found that the female protagonist in his dream appeared in the surveillance video. Maintaining the principle of curiosity, he must go to find the female protagonist. But this female protagonist is not the female protagonist in his dream. In addition to appearance and gender, the two are different. Of course, the female protagonist is not as gentle as the female protagonist in the dream. So at the beginning, the female protagonist took the police officer as an exposed madman and sent him to the police station, the so-called no fight, no acquaintance. The police officer left the single dog industry in such a hurry. After that, the female protagonist accidentally found everything the police officer said in the school book. There was really a person who looked exactly like her. I used to teach at this school, and the police officer was in a pile of unsolved cases. It was found that the female protagonist in the dream was killed in 1983. The police officer saw all this. The teacher also saw it in his dream. He knew that the female protagonist might be in danger of being killed. He must save her, so he followed the crime record he saw in his dream. He found the murderer first. He wanted to stop the murderer from killing people. He didn't know that he was run away by that person. As a result, the female protagonist still did not escape the fate of being killed. Soon the suspect was caught. This is actually the father of the student. The student did not believe that his father would kill people. He insisted that there must be someone else. Similarly, the police officer also knew the situation of the teacher through the dream. He wanted to help find the murderer. After a thorough investigation, the police officer confirmed that the father of the student was not the murderer. The real murderer was the masked man. He killed the masked man through the female protagonist in the dream, and he informed the teacher through the dream. A few days later, the murderer of the female protagonist will appear again in the school hall. He set fire to all the students in the female protagonist's class. The police officer wanted the teacher to stop this episode. It is said that the cost of this episode was not paid in vain. The operator's signal was in good condition. The brainwave message was sent to the teacher accurately. After receiving the message, the teacher went to the prison and met the father of the student. After a regular communication, he was more certain that the murderer was the masked man, because all the information was in line with the police officer. On the day of the fire, the teacher prepared in advance to save all the students. This time he successfully rewrote history. Unfortunately, the murderer still ran away, leaving only a gas mask at the scene. In 2015, the police officer came to the school. He found that the new school hall had become along the old school hall, he knew that this time the teacher successfully rewrote history, and the fire did not burn the school hall. So the police officer told the female protagonist this good news, and invited the female protagonist to his house for dinner. Who knew that the police officer waited all night, but did not wait for the female protagonist, and from the news, the female protagonist's car seemed to have crashed into a car accident. It is now unknown whether she is alive or dead. After returning to the police station, he checked the surveillance cameras on the female protagonist's car, and found that she was also caught by the masked man. This is too bold. 30 years later, he still dared to come out to commit a crime. On the other hand, the teacher has completely confirmed that he can communicate with the future police officer, so he began to use the information provided by the police officer to solve the case. According to the development of time, the masked man will kill another female student at school. In order to catch the masked man hid in the crime scene early and waited for the murderer to appear. According to the development of time, the female student appeared, and the murderer also appeared. He still used a special gas to stun the female student, and then killed her. This time, the masked man could not rewrite history, because he was also stunned once the murderer escaped from him for the second time, and the murderer was still running away, and put the weapon in the school's time capsule, and buried it in the soil. What's more tragic is that the police officer actually identified the teacher as the murderer just because he found a mask on his desk. Teacher had no choice but to arrest, and the male student helped the teacher escape. Takaher told the male student that his father was not the murderer, although at this time, the male student still did not believe that the teacher could communicate with the future man, but teacher still gave his own recording to the male student, hoping that he could use these recordings to find the murderer, and wrote a note to the female student, hoping that in 2015, the male student could stop the murder of the new heroine. After a thorough investigation, the police officer here determined the scope of the possibility of the new heroine being caught. As expected, in the process of searching, the police officer received a strange call, which turned out to be a rescue call from the new heroine, and it was near the police officer. However, the new heroine did not escape the danger at this time, because the masked man was still chasing her. After a moment of chasing, the new heroine finally escaped the clutches. However, escaping the clutches does not mean escaping fate in the end. The new heroine was hit by a car in front of the police officer. The police officer found out through that strange phone call that the new heroine was involved in the kidnapping incident and was related to the superior cold-faced man. It turned out that the one who kidnapped the new heroine was indeed the cold-faced man. The cold-faced man was the leather student 32 years ago, and the reason why he pretended to be a masked man to kidnap the new heroine was mainly to tell the teacher man through the dream of the policeman that the masked man's future is endless and must catch him 32 years ago. And more importantly, the cold-faced man wanted to use this to change his wife's fate of being killed. Do you remember what I said before? Did the murderer put the murder weapon in the time capsule 32 years ago? 20 years later, the capsule was opened, and the cold-faced man found the murder weapon in it. According to this murder weapon, it is easy to find the murderer. However, the murderer knew all this, so he caught the cold-faced man's wife, and threatened to exchange the murder weapon in order to save his wife. The cold-faced man returned the murder weapon to the masked man. However, the pervert masked man still kept his promise and killed the cold-faced man's wife on the spot. And now this plan has gone beyond the cold-faced man's imagination. Not only was the new heroine accidentally hit by a car, even his wife was killed by the masked man 32 years ago. The cold-faced man regretted everything he did, so he shot himself. Before he killed himself, he told the teacher man 32 years ago through the policeman that in order to avoid what happened today, he had to kill him when he was a leather student, so as not to waste food later. He also told the teacher man that he must not go back to school after he was arrested, because he would also be killed when he went back. The teacher man received the message, and then he realized that the plot had been ruined by the director. In order to win the game back, he must go back to school. After returning to school, he heard the cold-faced man's wife calling for help. The teacher man was stunned, and looked at his glasses and belly. I can finally PK with the masked man boss. So the teacher man officially faced the masked man head on. It turns out that the masked man is the biology teacher of the school. Of course, this time the teacher man learned a lesson and also wore a mask. The masked man was pushed by the teacher man for a while. I can't kill him. You hit me, I can't kill you. You run away, I push you. After falling to death, he came back again and brushed his sense of existence. He finally stabbed the teacher man. There was no way the two of them hit the roof from upstairs. The teacher man looked at his glasses and belly again. It's almost time. Just kill the masked man on the lightning needle. A lightning strike can't kill you. The teacher man, who lost the heroine's glory, also followed a piece to get a lunchbox back in 2015. Everything has changed. The policeman did not become a police officer, but a teacher. The heroine is still still alive. The two of them are in the same school, and they are also lovers. The masked student also became a teacher and lived a happy life with his wife and family. The policeman and the heroine are like the reincarnation of the teacher man and the heroine in the previous life. This movie is reliable in the first half. The timeline and cause and effect are well grasped, but when the heroine died, the director felt like he was crazy. His brain was open. I also said that I couldn't stand the development of the plot at that time. How did the masked man kill the heroine and cause his wife to be killed in advance? At most, he couldn't save his wife, and the cold-faced man couldn't stop the heroine from being killed. These are all in line with the development of the plot and history. After all, the teacher man knew that the heroine would die, and how did the masked man become a teacher after he was killed? This brain hole is also a bit inexplicable. I think the policeman is still the policeman. This does not prevent him from recognizing the heroine again, and then the two of them go back to the previous life. After all, his previous life, the teacher man's dream is also to be a police uncle. Okay, although there are a lot of bugs in the movie, but there are still a few movies that can mess up the British relationship. That's all for today's video. If you like my commentary, you can subscribe to my channel.